This channel supports Extra Life in its efforts to raise money for the Children's Miracle Network. For more information about how to donate and join in their efforts, go to the link displayed here. Extra Life. Play games, heal kids. What up, everybody? This is your boy Black Magus, and so I finally got a chance to watch the All Elite Wrestling pay-per-view, Double or Nothing, and I gotta say, I'm so glad I watched it, and I'm so mad I still watch WWE. Now look, I'm not gonna sit here and just go off and go on a rant berating WWE, but it has to be said, I really do hope that this gets the backing and gets like the traction that it needs to be a viable competitor in the wrestling industry. WWE and their whole sports entertainment thing is just not as entertaining as it used to be. They don't build story, they don't make matches matter. It's just an advertisement show to me, and this was all about the event. This is all about the wrestlers. It was all about the matches, something that they had said from the beginning when they decided they were going to start this venture, and so far so good. They've paid off. Now, was it a perfect show? No, but it was reminiscent of the things that a lot of us, and perhaps this is me falling into the nostalgia trap a bit, but it reminded me of the way that wrestling used to be. I'm not even talking about like Attitude Era stuff. I'm talking about before Attitude Era. Actually, oddly enough, with Cody Rhodes being one of the main people involved in this, it reminded me of the wrestling that I used to watch back in the early 80s as a kid. The type of wrestling that Cody Rhodes' father, Dusty Rhodes, used to do. And I say that because like the whole presentation evolved around the stories that were involved in engaging you in information about the wrestlers, talking about the moves. They brought Jim Ross in, and I think Jim Ross was a great pull, not because of just his voice. Like, again, Nostalgia Trap says, oh my god, it's going to be great because Jim Ross is the voice. But I think what it does more than anything is it gives them a brand to work off as they grow, so when they start bringing in newer, younger, fresher announcers and try to roll them in, they'll have someone who can train them. Like, look, I know how people talk about wrestling today, especially on WWE, but this is how we used to talk about wrestling. We treated it as if it was a real sporting event, and you gave your information on the different players, the quote-unquote stats sheet, like they do in football and baseball and basketball. You talk about different triumphs, accomplishments that they've had. You speak about discussions that you had with them involving like their careers, their matches, like their motivations, their goal. You build that all up because it helps invest. That's why they do that in regular sports events, and that's why wrestling started off doing such, because they wanted to sell it as a sporting event, and they wanted you to understand like that, hey, even after kayfabe had been lifted, it still was a thing of, look, we want you to take this as if you were watching a real life sporting event, and to get you engaged. It's a good storytelling method, regardless of how you view wrestling. It's the proper way to do it, because this is how people get involved and interested in what's going on and understand what's going on. It was just great to see and to hear, and I was just like, yo, this is crazy. Now, I didn't see the pre-show. I actually found that the pre-show was on TNT, which blew my mind, because I knew that they had got to deal with TNT to do their live weekly show. I think it's going to be live. I can't remember. So if I'm wrong, correct me. But they're getting TNT to like host that. And I was like, that was already a big pull, because TNT originally was heavily involved in wrestling with WCW, Turner Broadcasting having owned WCW at the time before it folded. So, that was good. That connects it to a large audience because TNT is a pretty large cable network where people will tune in to watch the show, and it gives access to everybody. It's not like how, unfortunately, one of the problems that Impact ended up running into as it continued was it was all over the place on these weird channels like Destination America and things like that may or may not be in your market and it's not well known. At least AEW has a well known market to promote to. But back to what I was really saying, I didn't know the pre-show was on, so I didn't see the pre-show. I heard Hangman Page. Of course, they let you know what happened, which was Hangman Page won the Battle Royal, and he was going to be in line as the first contender for one of the first contenders for the title. And of course, the other contender would be sussed out between Jericho and Kenny Omega. Now, here's the thing. We have a wrestling league that, for the most part, thrives on internet recognition. Because let's be honest, beyond Cody Rhodes and a handful of others, maybe, we've never really seen any of these people on TV at all or heard of them. Like Kenny Omega's main claim to fame is what he did in New Japan, But you got Dustin and Jericho, who were on the major wrestling promotions, WWE and WCW. So they have huge name recognition driving them. But for the most part, everybody else is just like, we know them because people are a little bit more involved now with the internet connecting us to New Japan Wrestling and all these smaller leagues. So we know some people. Like, I knew Hangman Page because he was on ROH, and then he happened to join Bullet Club, and Bullet Club is a very popular, group. Same thing with the Young Bucks. It was like ROH was their main contact that I've had with them, and of course they were the Elite, And Kenny Omega just blew up to the point where you just had to know the name, even though you probably didn't see him that much if you weren't really into seeking out other wrestling promotions like New Japan. But it was a card full of people who, for the most part, I didn't recognize or I vaguely heard of, and they put on a hell of a show. It was so much talent that I had never seen. It was amazing to see them just, again, focus all on the matches, focus on the contenders. Everybody's fighting. The way that they did certain things, I felt was really, really smart. Way smarter than what you see. People would block their opponents in tag matches from getting in. The other participants, it wouldn't be just somebody just sits and waits until it gets closer to, then one of the people jump in and break it up. It's they tried to jump in and the other side jumps in to stop them, or they'll run over to hold them so their people can get the count. I like this crazy to the ref's discretion thing that they are doing too, because it makes sense. They have things it's to the ref's discretion for the 10 count or not. The ref doesn't have to do certain counts and can pretty much control the match, so to speak. It leaves so much wiggle room and a lot of story building, because there's a lot of times when we see nonsensical things done in more established leagues because they're trying to stick to this hard set of rules that they put it forth. But then you see them all of a sudden it's oh, did you forget that this guy wasn't supposed to be in the ring fighting, but he's been squabbling with this guy who's not legal for 10 minutes. Okay. And then you finally tell them to get back in after it's convenient. You lose, or you don't really keep up with who's the legal man, who got what tag, how tags were done. There was a couple of flubs there on the show, but again, this being their first big show, I could see how that would happen, especially with some of these wrestlers first coming together, not having long drawn out history and chemistry development. Even with the announcer's booth, there was a couple of flaws. The major thing was when the guy, who was it that he was calling by the wrong name? He kept calling Chris Jericho Generico, and JR got caught up in it once, and he corrected himself. Then after that, dude started to realize, yo, it's Jericho. Like, things like that. It's like, yeah, you can tell they haven't been around to call matches for these people or work together that much. But for the most part, it just went well, and the matches made sense. The storytelling within the matches was good. It wasn't just a bunch of high spots. Like, I think one of my biggest concerns for it was that they were just going to go to high spot heaven, because a lot of those guys, like the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, have been known to just try to straight just pull off a bunch of ooh moments. I mean, even with the Young Bucks match, their tag team match against Pentagon Jr. and Ray Phoenix, yeah, there were a lot of high spot moments, but they were done with the fluidity and a sensibility that was no, they're actually not just high spotting it, just to high spot it. It was they're trying to pull off these big moves to take out two people, and it kind of made sense. It's and it's funny because I think this was one of the few Young Bucks matches where I came, one of the few Young Bucks matches without somebody like the Briscoes involved, where I came out thinking, yeah, this isn't just a gimmicky match to have them go over with the crazy super kicks all the time, or the ridiculous spots that they like to do, the tongue-in-cheek stuff, type of stuff. They're actually fucking going to war with these dudes, and it's a fucking fight, and I'm into it. And I'm not even a fan of it. I really don't like the Young Bucks, to be quite honest, but that match, I had to applaud them for it, because it was done very, very well. Stuff like that, the Cody Dustin shit, oh my god, that was just so good. By the way, shout out to Cody for coming out to the ring, Brandy going under the ring, grabbing the sledgehammer and breaking down the skull throne. I was yeah, the jabs, that was so good. I heard he actually spoke on it later, and I have to listen to what he said about that. Find the rest of his post interview and listen to that part. But yeah, the emotion that was drawn out of that, when Dustin got cut, they used it as part of the element. Cody just wiping the blood on his chest, taking advantage because Dustin can't see. So Dustin playing up the fact that this blood's in my eye, I can barely see. I'm trying to fight off instinct. Cody not wanting to win with the 10 count, he had to put his finisher on to kill him, but he said that he was going to bury the Attitude Era and bury all of this. And then at the end he was nah, I can't let my brother go out like that. You gotta ride with me one more time. And this paper, they built this even before because someone had been sending me clips of their promos and stuff like that. They built this as if this was yo, I'm serious. We gonna put all this noise, to rest. We gonna stop all this nonsense. I'm tired of being told that I'm in the shadows of you. I'm tired of being told that modern wrestling doesn't rate and doesn't compare to what you and your old friends did and all of that. This is the reason why I'm here, partially because I can never be considered worthy of a shot in comparison to what y'all did in the old, because the old guard wouldn't give me a chance. And fuck the old guard. And Dustin's just yo, you're my brother, I need you to respect this shit, and I can't believe that you're taking this attitude towards me and all of this, but you know what? We just gotta settle this. There's always been tension anyway because of the family name and everything like that and stuff so. Let's just do this. Let's just settle this. And if you beat me, I'll walk away. Stuff like that. And it's they did it, but they brought him back in a sensible way. It didn't it wasn't nonsensical. It's yo, you're my brother. I can't as much as I'm upset at everything that you were a part of and what I have made you stand for, you know, brother, I love you. We're gonna do this again, and it's gonna be great because we're getting things that we wanted to see when they were both in WWE, which was this match of them going against each other, blood on blood, like at their peak. Like even at 50 though, Dustin's still good. Dustin's still so good. Damn, no wonder they used to call him the Natural back in WCW, and shame on them for wasting him, by the way, because he's a wrestler. He was born to be a wrestler, and he shows it. And Cody, you know, has followed the path. Like, they are Dusty's sons. God damn it. Shit, love the Rose family. But yeah, so you're gonna get now a great tag match to send him off. Like, which I'm loving the idea of this. Like, yeah, this is the brotherly run that we wanted from them in WWE. You know, a lot of things impressed me that I saw, like, other than the Young Bucks and the Lucha Brothers match, that first match that those guys put on, I can't think of their name. That was really, really good. The triple threat match with the Japanese team, I forget that's the one I'm talking about. Those guys were really, really good. And it was nice to see that they're bringing these other smaller promotions and new promotions in and trying to build them up. Like those three guys, and it wasn't Japan, my bad, it's from China. Those three guys from China, that China league, yo, those dudes are nice. They are nice, and it makes me want to see more of them and see more of what they're doing, and, you know, seek out that stuff. I like the fact that they're doing that whole cross-brand thing like ROH did, and trying to connect with others to help, you know, promote and put other people out there. That's gonna be good. The Japanese women's match was like crazy. Just so much good came from that whole thing. And of course the showstopper, what we used to know as Dean Ambrose, but has always been and should have always been Jon Moxley, you know, came out at the end of the Jericho Omega match, which was really, really good. Again, great storytelling, especially with Jericho, like, fucking with the crowd and all that, telling them how he's gonna make them like thank him and all that shit, and then Moxley comes out and goes wild on them, and they did it right. They did it right. They gave you like stuff to look forward to in the coming months, because now you got Jon Moxley there. He's starting a rivalry with Ken Omega, so that'll probably be his first match. Him and Ken Omega, which damn, they jumping right out the gate with him, putting him in the mix. Some other swipes that they took at WWE, of course, like having Bret Hart there, and you see in Dallas, Diamond Dallas Page come out to take Brandy out from interfering in the brothers match. You got Awesome Kong coming out there, Brandy introducing her into this triple threat match for the first women's match ever in AEW, and things like that. Just little touches where they're bringing people in, including other people like legends and things like that. It's like, yeah, no, we're about the business. We aren't like, you know, trying to just be this promotional entity to generate funds off of advertisement and merchandising alone. We want the event, the format, the content to be the crux of things. Like, I marveled at the fact that I only saw a couple of promos in between matches, only for like the bigger events when it really counted, when there was something really impactful to put a promo in, and not just to be like how WWE does, constantly throwing promos and commercials for products. And like every match has like a vignette, which you don't need unnecessarily, especially if it's a lesser match. You know, a match that you're not really cultivating any real story behind. Like, pay-per-views and things like that are just like, people should have opportunities to wrestle, to like find their spots for contendership, like build their rankings and things like that. Just like, again, a boxing match, a sporting event like that, like UFC. Like, there's not every match has to have a deep drawn out story, but the things that actually do have bad blood, or, you know, something to prove type stories to go with and things like that, you build them up, like they did the Rhodes thing, you know, like they did the Omega thing, the Omega and Jericho thing and the weight of the match and all that. This is how you do that shit, you know? And you have the announcers involved and have them like make sure you know what's going on with the story, not just leaving it to the vignettes, because the announcers are part of the thing. They know what's going on. They're there every week. They see what's happening and they could comment on it and give, you know, play-by-play. Like, they just small touches like that that I really, really appreciated about it. And I really do hope AEW does well. We'll see. You know, my fear of them trying to gimmicky do like things like that, especially like when I saw some of the people that they brought on, I was worried, but yeah, I think they're gonna be okay. It's just hopefully they'll continue to get the opportunity and get the support that they need to be viable. Because remember when TNA first started and we were like all in on that, then the wrong people got in charge and it kind of fell apart. I'm hoping the right people stay in charge and they don't like mess it up. Just, you know, keep it like solid and keep, you know, it would be nice to have an alternative to watch, because I'll probably still invest in WWE because there are people in there that I like, just, you know, that I like to see wrestle, characters that I enjoy like the New Day, Seth Rollins, things like that. Love seeing AJ Styles. You know, Samoa Joe, of course. And I can't get down with a lot of the directions that, you know, that WWE takes them and things like that. But I still like to see them perform. That being said, I feel like I will probably, if AEW is able to establish himself, find myself watching that regularly. Whereas with WWE, I will keep up with, especially with NXT, and then pay-per-views of the main roster. You know, that would probably be the way that I balance that out. I feel like AEW has the potential to do wrestling the way that I would appreciate, and I'm hoping they keep and continue down that path. Anyway, as always, feel free to hit me up. Let me know what you think, and I'll holler at you later. This your boy Blak, making it out. Deuces.